Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. It's just been one of those days for me. It's kind of strange, to be honest. During winter, I have a really hard time. Winter is rough on me. I've got joint issues, and not the kind you smoke, but my body's joints. I've got joint issues that have been giving me quite a bit of trouble for quite some time. I've pointed out. I'm sure some of you notice it. The back of my neck, I got a real big lump. And it's been there now for, I don't know, a couple years, 2, 3 years. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I have no idea what it is. I don't know if it's related to lymph nodes, if that's a possibility, or if it's a disc that slipped out of place, which I think is probably more likely right, because I have a lot of neck issues. And over the last 2, 3 days, I've really had a big issue with my neck. And anyway, it feels today like it's dead middle of winter, snow and ice on the ground, and just, one of those days that would normally just tear me apart. And it absolutely is like that. And then to top it all off, I've got a tooth giving me hell. So, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I just push through it like I have for the previous 50 years of my life, and, I'll survive, and if not, thank goodness. But anyway, I laid down earlier. I did want to talk about this a little bit. And I'm only 50. Why the hell am I needing naps? Well, probably because I don't sleep enough at night, and I don't know that I'm sleeping real well. So I do more often anymore. I'll lay down. Sometimes I doze off. Most of the time, to be honest, I don't. But I'll just lay down on the futon for a little bit. And part of that is to give my neck a rest and let it just chill out for a little bit. Well, anyway, today I dozed off, and I'm not sure how long I was out, but I do know that I had 2 very quick dreams during that time period. Now, I don't dream often, and I know there's people that say you dream every night, you just don't remember it. Well, whatever the case. They also say you don't dream in color, and I'm telling you that is a bunch of BS. I dream in full color. Absolutely. That's no black and white in my dreams for sure. Anyway, I had 2 really short dreams and nothing very distinguishable about either of them. The first one was complete nonsense. Somehow I wound up in a kitchen with Tim Pool, and I went right up to him and approached him about his the recent decisions that he's made on a business level, and I found that strange that I would be dreaming about that, but it frustrated me. It disappointed me in Tim. Tim is a genius. There's no 2 ways about it, and he's surrounded himself with geniuses. I don't know. I'm just lost as to why he would do that. So I guess maybe that would be a reason. But the second dream wasn't a lot to it. I can't tell you a whole lot. I can tell you that I was standing outside, and the odd thing is I was expecting my brother. I can tell you that. I don't know why. I don't know where. I can tell you it seemed like it would have been after the balloon goes up. And I was watching a Harrier come in. Now, how's all that play into each other? I have no damn clue. I no clue. My brother was a Marine, so that, I don't know, could have something to do with the Harrier. But, I don't know. That was strange, and I'm not saying either one of them had anything to do with anything, but I just don't dream often, and so, considering I did, and that I actually do at least remember a touch of them, I just thought that was odd, but I figured I'd throw that out there. Um, Man, I am telling you. Other than that, like I said, I've just been trying to keep up with the news today, and trying to keep on top of pain. That's about all I can do. Let me share this article out. Just came up. So anyway, I figured I'd take kind of an easy night and come on and more or less go over the headlines with you and skedaddle my butt out and probably go to bed pretty immediately. I'm just begging to go to bed. And I'm. It's not really that I'm not tired. I hurt. I don't feel good. But anyway, it's not often I talk. I'm in pain every day. It's just something that I live with. Not often I talk about it because normally I just push through it and it is what it is. Let me see. Was there anything in particular that, no, not that I can think of. I was trying to think if there was anything I had to add on anything we're doing. I still got a bunch of stuff I got to put up. I got to get the eco floats put back away, and I've had these Anderson connectors now for a little while, and still don't have them on my bike. So, I am planning to do that, tomorrow's still going to be a pretty hot day, but the day after tomorrow, I've got two things planned, weather permitting. Get the Anderson connectors on the bike, and get the drones out for a test, because I haven't flown the drones since last summer, and I can't tell you when last summer, because I think I only flew them a couple of times last summer, to be honest. They're not just like the EcoFlows and a lot of our other stuff. They're tools, not toys. And, those batteries have limited cycles. And I can sit there and, for whatever reason, sit there and fly the drones every night because I'm bored and wanting something to do. Or I can save those battery cycles for when I need it. So I would rather, I'd rather not play with the toy now and have it for later. That's pretty much how I view things. Anywho, that's the ticket for getting that connection more feasible. There's a lot of draw when you very first plug in the battery to that electric bike, because it's got some awful big capacitors it's got to fill up, and it makes one heck of an arc. And the blade connectors, it would even eat away at the blade, not the blade connectors. They weren't blade connectors. They're worse than that. They were bullet connectors, and real cheap ones at that. So that's going to fix the problem. 50 amp is what that's good for. And hell, my BMS, I think I kick out at 30 amps. So, I mean, overkill, but that's how I like it. Trying to think if there was anything else. Just been, typical stuff, Let me go ahead and bring up the headlines. That kind of might jar my memory a little bit as to different things, because I'm constantly looking at different news and going over stuff. Hang on, I'm proving somebody to our local Facebook group here. So I'm constantly bringing in news and double checking to see how accurate that information is. And yeah, I did quite a bit of that over the past few days. There's been a lot of information come out. And, I know that there's a lot of fear going around. And I guess I'll talk about this. Somebody had made a post, and it actually bothered me. When I read it, it frustrated me. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I'm not going to talk about where the post was at or anything like that, or of course identify the person, but somebody had a personal SHTF of their own. They were expecting a child, and that child come extreme. Well, I believe it would be extremely early. I don't want to say a time because I don't remember that clearly, but I thought the number 28 was involved. I don't know. She was at 28 weeks, or I don't know. However, it looks like, baby's going to be fine. Apparently, Mama had picked up some type of infection in the hospital, from what it seems. And so she's on the mend. They've got her on antibiotics and whatnot. And anyway, her question, more or less, or, concern was about everything going on. And, in her post, she talked about how it really bothered her, and she was really anxious. And I'm paraphrasing her thoughts here. She's really anxious over everything going on, and her being in the hospital. She's thankful that this had happened, and so that it had happened during a time where they had a medical facility to go to that had the medications and stuff like that was needed. Grateful for that, but very concerned about the state of the world, and whether or not she's going to get out of the hospital in time before something big goes down. And that bothered me. That really bothered me, because that's telling me, that this fear, that so many of these channels that are just laying out there day after day after day is having a very detrimental effect on some people. That's why I rail against it so much. Not all of us can handle this stress. I'm an oddball. I'm a weirdo. I think, well, to be honest, I think I'd experienced so much emotional trauma in my life, I had gained the ability to turn it off. And so, sometimes I say that, I'll say that I detach in love, a term that was picked up from a friend of mine. But it's not necessarily always that, and I'm just being real with you. Sometimes it's not detaching in love. Sometimes it's just detaching, period. And so when these news stories come flooding into me, and I go over my daily news, and I'm looking at all this stuff, it doesn't scare me. Not at all. In fact, I long for the day that the internet's gone. So I probably feel opposite most people when it comes to the balloon going up. I'm really messed up. I look forward to it. I do. I don't like evil. And there's no way that good is going to triumph with the level of evil that's in this world. And just as the good book says, it's gonna have to be renewed. It's just a fact. And even that, I'm 100% detached from. Because I see the logic behind it. I see that the field needs burns so that it can grow back and flourish once again. I see that. And by the way, for those that don't know, out west a lot, they do burns on fields and stuff like that. I can't tell you all the details as to why, but I know that it's a needed thing for them to do. Once in a while, they just have to do a controlled burn and burn the fields. Well, that's kind of the way I view the world and society right now. There is just so much evil that the only thing that we're going to be able to do is renew it. I mean, it'd be nice to sit there and say, oh, no, we could do this, we could do that. Yeah, it's too far gone. And when I say that, again, it's not from a position of, oh, my God. It's actually the opposite. It's actually like, let's get this party started. I know it's going to be ugly. I know there will be mass loss. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I don't intend on doing it. You know what I mean? I'm not responsible. So I could wrap myself all up in what I have no control over and no responsibility for. Or I can try to see the big picture and pull myself back. And as you hear a million times throughout your life, draw a line in the center of paper, put your pros on one side, your cons on the other. That exact same thing. That exact same thing without the emotion. And you will see that it's only logical that mankind be refreshed. It's only logical. I know it's a dark, sobering thought, but it's the truth. So I don't look at the day as a negative. I really don't. And, you know, I'm not in good shape. Should be obvious. Chances are high I won't make it far. But you know what? Not a damn bit of it is about me. Not even the tiniest little bit. I mean, I think part of mankind's problem is they try to make themselves bigger than they really are in the world. More important than they really are in the world. And I think people get hung up on that. We're all just specks. You know? The whole thing, you know, during that generation that Mama said, oh, you're all special snowflakes. Well, you're absolutely an individual. But that doesn't mean you're special. And that's not a knock on anybody. Nobody's special. That's the point. We're all on an equal footing. It is society, and it is the tools that mankind put in society that makes it seem like we're on different levels. But we're not. We're not. Clearly, some people have more money, more possessions, and whatnot than the other person. But when you take that all away, do we not fit in the same damn box when we go back into the ground? It's not about what mankind sees. That has nothing to do with it. I don't know. I don't know where the hell that came from. But, apparently it needed said. So anyway. Anyway, let me go ahead and hop on over to the headlines here. Let's see. Okay, and I think this is Brazil. Let me double check. Thai. Is Thailand in Brazil? No. No? No. I'm an idiot. I have no idea. Thailand is where it happened. A horror nightclub fire kills and injures dozens. Let's see. FBI warns of spectacular terrorist attacks. Oh, yeah? That from the left? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Just the people that the left gave a bunch of money to and a bunch of military equipment to. Nah, not anything to do with the left. Anyway, this is probably just a bunch of bullshit to try and take more freedoms away, to be honest. You know, I'm telling you, the time when we see a rash of terror attacks in the United States is when somebody decided to go ahead and start doing terrorist attacks in the United States. Have you ever noticed something? Have you ever happened to notice how there's only certain countries that there's not terrorist attacks in? Is it that we're so good at catching them or preventing them? Come on, it's the FBI we're talking about. It's because not that many people are really trying to do that devious and evil things. You don't have tons of people here in the United States that are looking to drive a big car bomb into a group of people. You don't have that here. Now, will we see it? I think so. I absolutely think so. But for the most part, it hasn't happened for those reasons yet. Now, we've had terror attacks on a different level that, to be honest, have been largely stoked by our mainstream media, but not a terrorist attack as in like from Middle Eastern terrorists or anything like that. The terrorist attacks that we've had has been domestic terrorists, and it's been people mostly on the left. Can't help the truth. Mexico calls for 5-year global truce. India increases imports of Russian coal. By the way, this is all Friday stuff. I know I didn't say that. I usually say that. Zelensky angered by lack of help from the EU. Pelosi comments on Taiwan isolation. Russia comments on convict swap with the U.S. Moscow names condition for ISS withdrawal. A Russian cybercrime suspect extradited to the U.S., says media. China sanctions Pelosi. Hey, as long as you leave her liquor cabinet alone, she don't care. EU member makes decision on Soviet-era memorials. Ukrainian grain flowing to global markets. China cuts ties with U.S. on critical issues. Celebrity Griner shouldn't get special treatment, says a trainer. I don't know if it was her trainer. Not sure. But I would agree with that. North Korea ready for more nuclear tests, says Reuters. Ukrainian mayors at odds with Zelensky, says media. Anti-Russian sanctions endanger global food security, says Moscow. Russia winning battle for Indian oil market, says Bloomberg. China weighs in on strategic cooperation with Russia. U.S. claims significant escalation by China. China launches secretive spacecraft, says media. A U.S.-led effort to isolate Russia failed, says Bloomberg. Russia expels Bulgarian diplomats. Kremlin calls France unfriendly state. Children among injured after shelling of Donetsk hospital, says DPR. Sorry, I had a bunch of notifications. I mean, like a bunch that just hit at one time. My watch was vibrating like crazy. Let's see. Taiwan claims major encroachment by China. Twitter accuses Elon Musk of lying. Russia moves to shield economy from unfriendly states. Russian region hit by hellish fires. Lavrov speaks out on U.S. effort to dominate the world. Orban says U.S. needs more Chuck Norris. That's what we need. Candy giant apologizes to China. Don't you love it? And that was like the Mars M&M company. Yeah. Putin says EU should thank Turkey. Turkey wants to open new page in ties with Russia. That is something to keep an eye on. Court declares Telegram stickers extremist. EU confirms gas rationing plan. Multiple casualties in major Gaza escalation, says local officials. Gaza was like lit up. It was insane there. As far as I know, they're in a truce right now. As far as I know, I covered this story. Western ex-special ops trained Ukrainian, says The Guardian. Israel releases video of deadly Gaza strike. EU country stops issuing visas to Russians. Palestinian militants vow imminent revenge on Israel. Israel prepares reservists as Gaza conflict intensifies. Cult director lambasts cancel culture. Amnesty fully stands by report on Ukraine. Palestinian militants say 100 rockets launched at Israel. UN incentivizes terrorists, says Israeli ambassador. Ukrainian strike in Donetsk kills 3 civilians, says officials. Russia explains why it won't use nukes in Ukraine. Israel calls Pentagon over Gaza strikes. Turkey fumes over Israeli airstrikes. Okay, let me have a sip of coffee. We are to yesterday's news. Trying to rip my cord out of my mixer here for my headphones. I can't do anything like Bluetooth or wireless of any kind because there's a delay in it. And I actually monitor my voice and my ears so that way I know whether I need to get closer or further away from the mic, or because decent audio is important to me. I'm doing my best to give you decent audio. So to me that's important. That's the most important thing. And not having all real blurry, video and all of that. I try. I'm not trying to be really good at what I do, but I'm trying to at least do it on a level that's acceptable. I can't understand some of these, and I'm not going to point them out. But some of these even big YouTube channels that won't even invest a little bit of money in a good mic system. It blows my mind. Any of those channels that might be listening, if you have people complain about your audio, go to the DJI website and order their little 2 microphone receiver, it's 2 transmitters and a receiver. It supposedly makes the Rode 2 wireless look like crap, and that's coming from a whole lot of people. So it's a really good unit. So if you happen to be a large channel, I doubt you're even watching my channel, but if you do and you got people complaining about your audio, invest some damn money in your audio. Seriously. And another thing, probably not a good idea to just have an open mic on your dash or something like that when you're driving a very loud vehicle down the road and shooting a video. It blows my mind how channels will do that. And then when you say, hey man, I couldn't hear anything you said, they throw a fit. Pinball did one the other day. He's throwing a fit because people couldn't hear what he said because he's the dumbass that had to have a noisy truck driving down the road, It's somehow it's the viewer's fault. That's okay. He made some real doozies this past few days. Let's see, Friday I guess it was, or Saturday, one of the 2 days, he more or less said in his video, people that don't watch his channel won't survive. I mean, he might as well just come right out and said it. I mean, it is unbelievable the head that dude got on himself. And the funny part is a part of my area assessment of knowing who's around me, people with his personality would be ejected immediately. Immediately. Because they're what you call unteachable. Just saying. That's a very important part of having a group, a mag, and a very important part about being in leadership of a group or a mag. Being able to tell that about people, being able to know who is going to work with you and who's not, who's going to be a problem. Anybody that is only out for themselves is going to be a problem. And there's a lot of these channels that come right out and tell you that, they ain't interested in helping anybody else. They're interested in themselves, their group, that's it, no matter what. And I'm not saying that you should open up to everybody, but I am saying that you shouldn't just throw a blanket over everything and everyone, and somebody that isn't a part of your group today, you know what? Your group's going to have to grow. People on your group inevitably aren't going to make it. You're going to need to replace people. How do you do that? Well, with people on the outside that you bring in. You're not going to procreate and raise people that quick to be able to take over. I don't think a lot of these folks really think. They see their own bubble and they think me, and because of that, they miss the big picture entirely. There's a reason why my group is set up with the intention, with the mission that it has. And it's because we're smart enough to know that our little group, and I say little group, it's not little. It's not little. It's not very shy of 100 active members, okay? That's not little. And when I say active members, that's not counting their families that are coming with them. So, it's not a small group of people. And we know that even though there's a lot of skilled individuals in our group as it stands, it's not going to be enough. I don't know where people come up with their group of 10, 20 people is going to be enough. Man, a lot of work that's got to be done. The farming itself, the planting, the harvesting, it's going to take a lot of hands. A lot of hands. Right? And if you've got enough hands doing it, you can actually get somewhere. You can actually have a surplus of harvest. That's the goal. But you have to have enough hands to do the work. And I think that's where a lot of people fail in their thought. They don't think beyond their food supplies. And what they do think beyond it, they're not thinking big enough. Because, if you run out of food supplies, if you've got a garden, unless you're really good, that garden's not going to sustain you. What do I mean by really good? Well, there are some people that, can do some unbelievable things, like microgreens, for instance. A lot of protein, a lot of goodies that your body needs in microgreens. Can be, depending on what microgreens you got. And that's a very sustainable way that you can do in somewhat of a small amount of space. But are you going to really thrive off of microgreens the rest of your life? I don't think so. No. The idea is to have a big enough group to survive and protect, and then after the dust settles, be able to grow a community. And I mean a community. When I say a community, I mean a community, not a small neighborhood. I mean a town. I'm not talking a city, a town. You got to realize, so we're just shy of like 10,000 people here. If we have let's say the power grid goes down, okay? completely goes down. And it's a long-term thing. No end in sight to the outage. It's very easy to be able to say at least half of the people, probably much more than half of the people won't make it to year one. Man, you're dwindling a lot of people down right there. A lot. Gonna need people. And this me. Get off my lawn. Yeah, that's gonna get you real far, man. Real far. Anyway, let's continue on. Sorry, sidetracked. Squirrel. U.S. prepares new weapons package for Ukraine, says Reuters. China ignores phone calls from Pentagon, says Politico. U.S. government issues monkeypox safe sex guide. Yay! Don't try to put the square in the circle hole. Don't try to put the circle in the square hole. Imagine that. Monkeypox problem solved. EU members who rejected gas plan named, says media. Ukraine snatching up millions worth of Russian assets, says Zelensky. By the way, this is yesterday's stuff I shared out. Australian Parliament seized books on Assange, family says. Ukraine risks repeating Chernobyl disaster, Russia warns. Let's see. PM candidates warns UK to face tough winter. Russia reacts to Biden's remarks on nuclear talks. Elon Musk makes recession prediction. Europe's aerospace industry fears Russia's sanctions, says Wall Street Journal. Twitter admits to being hacked. Congresswoman's criticism of Kiev irritates Washington, says CNN. IDF says how long it's prepared to fight in Gaza. Turkey unveils Russia trade plans. Polio warning issued in the U.S. Rishi Sunak sets out radical proposal. Germans urged to cut gas consumption by 20%. Pelosi was China's dream, says Trump. First ship carrying Ukrainian grain reaches Turkey. Now, hang on. Before we go any further. You got Trump saying that because of Pelosi going there, China's actually thankful because that allows them to have an excuse for doing a military buildup and doing all these exercises and increasing their aggression. And on the same note, and it's going to be in the headlines, you've got China saying that the U.S. did it in order to poke at them so that, they would have a reason to build up our military forces around the Indo-Pacific. You know what I mean? It's kind of, both parties are claiming the other one is doing the same thing. It's kind of ridiculous. First ship carrying Ukrainian grain reaches Turkey. Russia eliminates dozens of foreign fighters in Ukraine. A U.S. military exercise to take place near Chinese border, says media. I mean, yeah, we're not doing nothing. Protesters heckle Liz Truss on cost of living and climate. Sanctions on Russia irresponsible, advisor to Brazil's Lula says. Hang on. Ukraine thanks North Macedonia for tanks and planes. IAEA alarmed over shelling at Europe's largest nuclear power plant. White House condemns devastating abortion ban. Erdogan's diplomacy with Russia alarms Western officials, says FT. Biden remains isolated despite negative COVID test. Again, this is Saturday. He's since then come out of the basement. Israel blames Gaza rocket misfire for child deaths. Lightning strike triggers oil inferno. And let me have another sip of coffee. We are to today's news. So yeah, big fire. I don't know if that's the one in Cuba. Cuba? Yes, it is. And the first thing I thought about was that I think Russia made it. I'm not positive on that, but there's this they outfitted a tank. I think it was like a T-34 or something. I don't remember the exact tank. They outfitted it with a couple of MiG jet engines on where the turret would go. And so they put, I'm not joking, a couple. Here, let me look that thing up. Let me look it up, because if you haven't seen it, come on, images. There we go. That's the beast right there. That's the beast right there. A tank with a couple of jet engines on it, and then they have water pumps that pump water through these pipes here, and the air from the jet engines blows between the air pressure and the water, blows out the fire. It's used on oil refineries mainly, and that is the first thing I thought about when I read that headline. Was like, man, that's what they need there. Okay, the news I put out from this morning. U.S. promises to defend another neighbor of China. That would be the Philippines. Elon Musk says he will buy Twitter on one condition. That is that they tell that, well, how does he word it? I don't want to get that wrong. Social media platform must provide proof its accounts are real. So, if Twitter simply provides their method of sampling 100 accounts and how they're confirmed to be real, the deal should proceed on original terms. So, Ukrainian city launches witch hunt for disloyal residents. How do you like that, by the way? In other words, it is insane what they are doing in Ukraine. And if our media had any decency whatsoever and would talk about this, I guarantee you they wouldn't have the support of the American people. Rating outlook for 3 EU states slashed. Iconic pencil maker hit by Russian counter-sanctions. Kosovo detains Russian journalist. 4 more cargo ships leave Ukrainian ports. IDF publishes video of alleged deadly rocket misfire in Gaza. Indian SUV makes millions within minute of launch. That's crazy. They I believe, sold out all of their, their pre-orders or whatever you want to say. They had so many cars they were gonna allow to sell, and they within minutes, just boom, sold out. Their website was hit so hard that the traffic on the level of traffic on the website took the website down. So it's pretty crazy. UK waged African dirty propaganda operation, says media. Pets at risk as broke Brits cut costs, says RSPCA. France warned of milk shortage. Australia must get new missiles in face of rising China, says a politician. Ukraine crisis wreaks havoc with Japan's sushi, says media. UK is facing Dickens-style poverty, says XPM. Israel agrees to Gaza truce, says media. Russia takes out 45,000 tons of NATO ammo, says the Ministry of Defense. Yeah, some of that you paid for. Brits advised to spend less time in the shower. Workers sucked into Moscow sewer. Yeah, that's crazy. So there's two stories. One essentially that they were already down in the sewer system and working, and the other story is saying that they were actually above ground and got swept into an open manhole. What was it, like 12 people total? Yeah, a total of 12 crew members were underground at the time of the accident. Well, they say underground, but again, Interfax has suggested a different version of events, alleging the workers were above ground when the downpour started. Adding to this report, the men were swept into the open manhole by powerful currents of water. So, I don't know. Let me see what this says here. Later in the day, the prosecutor's office issued an update saying that the body of one of the workers has been located. 2.5 hours later, the authorities posted another update stating that the two other men had also been found dead. Okay, because there were 3 people that were still missing. Wow. That's a shame. That's crazy. China to make East Taiwan Strait drills regular, says media. Finland warns about imminent downturn in Europe. Leadership of Gaza Islamic Jihad eliminated, says Israel. Biden cleared to leave the basement. Isolation. Around 30% of Western weapons make it to Ukrainian troops, says media. Amnesty International apologizes for report critical of Ukraine. So apparently somebody wrote a big enough check. Israel has accomplished its mission, Prime Minister reportedly says. Sweden to prepare Ukrainians for military service. Pelosi's Taiwan trip row may affect iPhone 14 rollout, says media. Palestinian militants confirm truce, says media. Americans see bleak economic outlook, says a poll. Yeah. Is Biden gone yet? No. Yeah, it's looking pretty bleak. Ex-U.S. Special Rep for Ukraine predicts when fighting will end. Zelensky wants Russia sanctioned for nuclear terror. I normally have issues saying nuclear, so. And then there's potato, kind of. It's not nuclear, it's nuclear. I don't give a damn. It all bright light and it's over. It doesn't really matter how you pronounced it. Israel confirms Gaza ceasefire. Most Ukraine aid is a scam, says U.S. lawmaker. China reveals why it thinks U.S. sent Pelosi to Taiwan. And that was to try to be provocative towards China, so China would raise up its defenses so that the U.S. would have an excuse to raise theirs, and whatever. U.S. Navy targets indebted Americans. Yeah, they're going to offer, check this out. Pentagon hopes to attract new sailors by paying off up to $65,000 in student loans. Crazy. By the way, who's actually paying for that? Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm sure they thank you. Bastards. Sorry. Fired Soros-backed prosecutor seeks revenge. And by the way, I'm not against, I know what predatory business looks like. And those colleges were running predatory businesses. You had all kinds of people convincing those kids to sign that dotted line. All kinds of people. It was coming from everywhere. How they had to better themselves and how they had to go to school and how a trade wasn't good enough. You have to be in a 4-year college or whatever. They were pushed into this, and now the same people that were pushing them and telling them how hard and what they had to do in order to make it are telling them, well, I ain't going to help pay that back. And I don't expect that people should want to help pay it back. That's not my point. My point is you had these scumbags take advantage of these kids. Take a huge advantage of these kids. And that's the problem. The problem is that they were allowed to rack up a debt like that to begin with for the bullshit nonsense they were teaching. What do we expect? It seems like it's almost the American way now to cause a problem and walk away and act like we didn't have nothing to do with it. We're not going to fix it that way. We have to address the problem. We have to be real with ourselves about the problem. We have to make sure that the problem doesn't continue to happen and then try to clean up the mess from that has. We haven't even accepted responsibility yet. We haven't even hit step 1. Not as a nation. So, again, I'm not saying, we should just pay all, No, I'm not saying that we should have to pay those loans off. I'm saying that we need to tell some of these educational institutions and their lenders to go F themselves. That is what I'm saying we need to do. Not take more money from people. The same thing's true with these energy companies. Look at what they're trying to do over, what is it, UK or EU, one of the two? What they're trying to do is subsidize, the government wants to subsidize the people's power bills. Right? Instead of going after the energy company that's going to sit there with a big old smile and brag about their record profits at the end of the year, instead of going after them, no, we can't go after our buddies. Hell no. We're just going to take more taxes from the people. We're going to give a small percentage of that taxes back in the form of helping subsidize their power bills. This is the most crazy, and the United States is following suit. They do the exact same thing. When we need to be telling these people that are running predatory businesses, no. I don't know. Maybe I see it all wrong. That's a very big possibility. But I think a lot of people got conned into doing things that weren't smart moves. And yeah, I am much a buyer beware kind of person. I think people need to be responsible for their own decisions. But when you have an entire environment telling you that you have to take these steps if you want to be anywhere or be anybody, and so then you do that, and then you're riddled with debt and you got nowhere, is it really the fault of that young impressionable kid that was trying to be somebody? I don't know. I guess we could debate and argue that to the end of time, but I believe in being a good human being. Being a humane human being. And part of humanity is not taking advantage of one another just because we can. And then having an entire nation of people say, well, too bad. You should have known better. Don't think that's the right way we're supposed to be approaching it. I could go on for hours about it. I could get real deep into the psychology behind what happened in this nation, but all I'm going to do is piss a bunch of people off. I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, I am going to take that as my cue to get the hell out of here. And I'm going to hopefully fall asleep easily. Hopefully when I wake up, I don't feel all this damn swollen joints. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody coming. I hope to see you tomorrow night. God willing, we'll be here. And as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.